So today I'm going to be starting the ultimate long-term investing challenge. I'm going to be taking all of the most widely suggested methods of investing, and I'll be using all of the tips and tricks that most of the financial professionals I have personally seen recommend for you to do in order to have the highest chances of making a good profit over the long term. And there is one very specific equity that I'm going to be using in this challenge that I personally think has the best chance of giving me long-term results, and it's something that I've never invested in before. Now, if I did my maths right, and if the future follows similar trends as the past, then this one simple strategy means I can invest £1 a day, and it should almost certainly make me a millionaire from just this one investment in my lifetime. But I could be wrong as well. So let me take you through this video, what my method and plan is for this investing challenge, and you can tell me what you think. So let's get started. Now, we always have to start these videos by mentioning that I'm not a financial advisor and the content in these videos are for informational purposes. Essentially, I'm just sharing my own views based on my own experience. Always be sure to do your own research and consult a finance professional before making any decisions. Okay, so here is the thing. I was thinking to myself a couple of weeks ago that I have quite a few different investments in my current 5-figure portfolio, all the way from tech stocks to dividend stocks to ETFs to cryptocurrency, but what if I took all of the lessons from all of the finance professionals that I've seen, because there are certain lessons, ideas, and strategies that I've seen repeated through all of the major outlets and individuals. So what if I started an investment challenge using exactly all of those major themes without variation, and to see what results I get from that as a concept, but also compared to my normal portfolio? So in this video, I'm going to take you through what those lessons are that I'll be using one by one, and then I'll show you the strategy I'll be using to take me from £1 a day to a millionaire, and what one investment I choose to get me there. And lastly, at the end of the video, I'll be showing you how I'm setting up this automatic investment, and we'll make our very first day one investment. So if this is the kind of content you enjoy and want to follow, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video. I think you'll enjoy the journey. Okay, so what are the top lessons I always hear from the finance world? Number one, as we've all heard, is to diversify, to not invest in one thing and put all your eggs in one basket. We get told to make sure our investments are spread between different companies, sectors, risk types, and regions across the world. So the one investment, which is an ETF, is going to follow along with that lesson, but we'll get to that later. Number two is to invest for the long term. Now, we always get told that if we're going to invest, then to keep it for at least 3 to 5 years. And Warren Buffett said, if you aren't willing to own a stock for 10 years, don't even think about owning it for 10 minutes. Now, obviously, the longer you hold an investment, the higher your chance of a profit, but also for compound gains. So for this investment, the plan is to never sell it until perhaps when we're ready to financially retire, at which point we can withdraw a percentage of our gains each year to live, or when it hits £1 million. Number three, to dollar cost average. Almost everyone I follow talks about this, and if you don't know, it means to continually buy at regular intervals to even out your purchase price. So through the good and especially the bad, to keep buying, and you won't get caught out by unnatural high or lows of the market, as they all even out over time. So yes, I'm going to set up a form of automatic investing that ensures we regularly invest our £1 a day, so that we're following dollar or pound cost averaging. And number four, the last one, is to not sell and to reinvest your earnings. Now, as you know, I love passive income, and I have a huge part of my portfolio dedicated to passive income. But for this one, because we're following the conventional rules, I'll set up the ETF for accrual, which means to reinvest the dividends. And this should mean extra fuel for growth and even more compounded growth over the long term to help with our gains and reduce the risk of loss. So those are the 4 major rules of investing that I personally have seen repeated again and again, and sourced this from multiple outlets as being the 4 main pillars of good investing over the long term to make profits. Now, after I took down those 4 rules, I spent a few days looking through all of the options I could to find an investment vehicle I could use that would match all of those criteria. And you know what? I am pretty certain that I found it. So I'm going to tell you the investment I'll be using that I've never used before and will make our first investment right now. But if you don't know, my ultimate goal is to reach financial independence, to have enough wealth and passive income to meet my expenses so I can do whatever I want in life. And there are only two tools I use every single month to make sure I can grow my finances to reach that goal, and both are available from the Casual Cash Club store. The first is a really simple but incredibly powerful budget tracker. This is what I use every single month to track my monthly bills so I'm not overcharged, but I also put in each of my expenses that get categorized and tracked in charts and graphs so I know exactly where my money is going. In order to build a financial house, I need as many bricks as possible, and this allows me to save the money I need to invest. So this month it helped me to save £850 to invest. The second is my wealth tracker. If the first helps me to get more bricks, this helps me track my financial house. Every month it shows me the total of my investments, assets and debts, as well as estimated how much dividend income my portfolio is currently making per year. With these charts and graphs, I get an easy but in-depth look at how my wealth is growing and which investments and savings are getting me there. So if you think these sound helpful, check out the link in the description, which will take you to a web page telling you all about them and a video on how to use them. And for just $8, you can use them for the rest of your life, clear them and reuse every year, all the way to financial freedom. So the investment I've chosen to use for this lifelong investment challenge that meets all of the criteria is the Vanguard FTSE All World with Accrual, also known as its ticker symbol VWRA. Now this is a fantastic ETF for the rules we mentioned, and I'll tell you why and take you through this equity. First of all, it's a Vanguard ETF, one of the biggest providers in the world, and as such it has a low total expense ratio of 0.22%. Second, and probably most important, is the diversification. Remember we said we would look to invest within different companies, sectors and regions of the world. Well, this does all of that. In terms of companies, this ETF contains currently 3,625 of the biggest companies in the world. When it comes to sectors, it has holdings across 11 major sectors such as technology, financials, consumer discretionary, industrials, healthcare, and a few others you can see here. Then different regions of the world. Let's have a look. This fund, opposed to, for example, the S&P 500, which is only American companies, invests in North America, Europe, emerging markets, and the Pacific region. Now, when you look by percentage, the USA is still a huge portion at 62%, because frankly, that's where most of the growth is these days. But you also have Japan, the United Kingdom, China, and a few others. So you also benefit from all the best companies in the world, not just the USA ones. And the VWRA is in US dollars as the world's reserve currency. And this fund is an accumulating fund, which means the dividends get automatically accrued or simply reinvested into the ETF to better grow and compound your investments. Now, speaking about growth, this fund has delivered 85% return over 5 years, 11% over the past year, and 3.86% for the year to date since January. Now, that last number is important because the S&P 500 since January has actually lost 1.2%, so it has outperformed it. Now, don't get me wrong, over the long term, like the last 5 years, the S&P 500 still outperforms it 90% to 85%, but it does provide exposure to the rest of the world as well. So in my view, this ticks all of the boxes of the rules we spoke about earlier. So we're going to head into Trading 212, the investing platform I use, and set up our automatic investment, which I'll show you how to do, and make our first investment in this ETF and officially start the experiment. But I'll also show you how I plan to make £1 million by just doing this investment. Now, because the investment is £1 a day, I need to automate it so I don't forget at any time. And on Trading 212, the only way to do this is with a pie. So I go into my platform online and I go down to New Pie. Then it's on Custom so I can choose my own shares, and I then search VWRA and go and select the ETF and add it to my pie. Now that 13.87% is the average annual return for this pie based on the last 5 years. Next, like we said, we want it to auto invest for us. So now I set it to £1 to start with, then update the frequency of investments to daily and then £1 a day. Now, based on the 13.85% average return, this slider shows you how much you would have for how many years you invest. This only goes to 40 years and it shows £674,000. But because of the compounded returns, if you add just 3 years to that, you get your £1 million. So I'm 33 right now, so that's entirely possible. And the very next year you would make £138,000 in growth. So we're going to continue and then start with our very first investment into VWRA with £1 at £1 a day. Now, is that a short time? No, it's not. But let's keep in mind that it is just from one investment, starting from zero, and from investing just £1 a day. I repeat, just £1 a day in one investment, or £30 a month, the cost of going to a restaurant. Now let's imagine you invested £2 a day, or £3 a day, and how much shorter that timeline would be, let alone if you invested £1,000 a month. So there are definitely ways to do it a lot sooner while following all the right rules. So I currently have a 5-figure portfolio across 2 platforms, and this is one investment experiment across 25 other investments I have currently. So if you want to see how this experiment goes, along with the rest of my portfolio, be sure to subscribe. And if you want to pick up your own budget tracker and wealth tracker to help you reach your own financial goals, remember to go check them out in the link in the description. But guys, that is it for today's video, where we invested our first pound and how we'll be investing £1 a day using all the investment rules to see what results I get. So I hope you found it valuable, and if you want to see how it all goes on a month-to-month and year-by-year basis, stick around for my portfolio update. And I will see you all next time, as always, on Casual Cash. Cheers.